everyone, Happy New Year. So in this video, I want to share with you my latest completed sketchbook and also share with you what I use these sketchbooks for and how I've been able to keep up my sketchbook routine on a regular basis. All right, let's get started. So right now, what you're looking at are three different but same brand sketchbooks. They're from the Talens Art Creation. I really like these sketchbooks because they are really cheap, really sturdy, and can handle a lot of different kinds of material. So super flexible. So early this year, I completed this one. This was my first Talens Creation sketchbook. And when I got it, at the time I bought many different kinds of sketchbooks. A lot of them are kind of in that sketch pad category. So, but in terms of price point, they're actually around the same. So they're all less than $10, 10 Canadian dollars. So I would say they're really cheap. In terms of the quality, this one just is much better compared to the other ones I've tried. So I've tried the Moleskine one as well and some of the other Canadian brand sketchbooks. So this one just superior compared to other sketchbooks in all kinds of ways. The paper quality itself, as you can see, it's very sturdy. And the first one that I got, I really used it to experiment, right? I tried various mediums I had on it. And one of the first sketches I've done on these sketchbooks, it was using my Posca markers. So you can see that the sketchbook did wrinkle a little bit, and I tried another one. So this is, at this point, I feel like, okay, maybe I shouldn't use Posca markers in these sketchbooks because they do make the pages a little bit wrinkly, as you can see. So then I experimented with markers. So these were done with the Tombow Fudenosuke. Probably butchering it, but they were done with these markers, these brush pens. I don't know what category they would be called, but I did a lot of that. Obviously pencil, they have no problem with. So alcohol markers, it does work, right? But it bleeds through to the other page. This one's a mixed media. So in this one, I used, I think, alcohol markers. Definitely also used black markers talking about. And I also used highlighters. So this is when I started using highlighters a lot. And I'm noticing that this sketchbook takes brush pen, so pigmented based ink, and highlighters really well. So what are those? These are the material that I use. These are just, normal highlighters. You can probably use any kind of highlighter. These are some that I picked up during my trip in US, and I, since I've been able to find these in Canadian art supply stores as well, or office supply stores. And these are everywhere. These are Faber-castell brush pen, right? They are pigment based or water pigment based, and they're very versatile. So I noticed, right, starting with this one, that these type of markers work really well because they don't wrinkle and they also don't bleed through like the alcohol markers, right? So these are the highlighters that I use, and notice how it does not bleed through. So really like the fact that it doesn't bleed through, because then I can use both sides of the sketchbook. And then it was a period of, okay, trying out different kinds of color pencils, and notice that they work really well with color pencils. They don't even smudge all that badly, right? So again, this one I really just used to experiment, and I finished this one early this year. And since then, I did try to, I played around with other sketchbooks. I feel like, okay, although this one is really good, there are still things I don't like about it. For example, I don't like how the color of the sketchbook is a little bit more yellow on the yellow side. So that's something that I didn't really like, and I was trying to find an even better one, But that didn't work out. I still went back to the Talens Art Creation sketchbooks because truly I feel like on the market right now, based on my need, this is the best. So I got a few others, and this one is the one that I actually completed a few weeks ago. So I'll share with you when I started this sketchbook. I started this one during summer this year, July 10th. And I completed this one December 18th, 2023. Okay, so in this one, I also still experimented a little bit. Okay, so most of this is done with pencil or mechanical pencils. But for example, on this page, what I used were these Tombow water-based brush pen color markers. So I have a lot of these, and I also buy these for my kids to use. I love these. They're just really versatile, right? Because they're water-based, they don't smell. They're fairly clean, and they're easy to clean if you accidentally got them on your table or something like that. And they also have dual tips. So on this tip, it's really thin lines, and on this side it's brush marker, so you can make broad strokes and whatnot. I usually use these in a thicker paper, a thicker weighted paper type of or more absorbent, more like watercolor based paper or sketchbooks. So I never tried it in these kind of sketchbook, and I tried it in this for the first time. So what I noticed is that it bleeds through. So very similar problem, right, as the alcohol markers. So I stopped using that in here, and most of these are just pencil sketches. All right, so let's do a sketchbook walkthrough. I typically reserve the first page just to experiment with some markers. So I officially started this sketchbook on this reverse side. And this was done with, I believe, this pencil, the GraphGear 500 0.5. It's made by Pentel. The 500 just means it's it can be bought with 500 yen, which is roughly around 5 USD or $6-7 Canadian. And the lead that I use is color lead. I don't typically use graphite in these sketchbooks because what I notice is graphite is really easy to smudge, and because I want to use them on the double-sided to optimize for the use of it and the lifetime of it, I don't want it to smudge, right? So imagine if you put graphite here, and then you start drawing on this side, what end up happening is that it'll transfer the graphite onto the previous pages and make it feel really dirty. So that's what I don't like to happen. So actually, before I do a sketchbook walkthrough, I'll share with you are these. Most of the ones that I use are actually blue and red. You can't tell which one I use more, probably the red, right? And I got these two colors a little bit later. I haven't yet tried orange, and in this mixed color one I just picked pink because that's a color I've never tried before, and I wanted to see what how I feel about it. And apologies if you hear this weird noise. Okay, so 0.7 I have green and blue, red, and soft blue so far. And I don't think I've tried these two yet. I picked them up fairly recently. But these are the two brands that I actually, are they the same brand? No. So Uni is one of the brands that I use, and then this one is Pilot. It's probably one of the largest stationery brands in Japan. I think the brand for this is just Uni. Yeah. All right, these are the lead that I use in my mechanical pencils, and the pencils themselves are pretty normal. Like I'll share with you a few different pencils that I use. Right, so I quite like the build quality of these GraphGear series. So I not only have a 500, I also have a 1000, right? And the other one I have is made by this brand, and this is the 0.7 I have. I used to have another one that's from this brand, SumoGrip, the Sakura brand, but I broke it because you know, the build quality of this one I find is, you know, entirely plastic and just not as sturdy as these metal made ones. So the other one I recently picked up is this mechanical pencil. It's a 0.3, and I quite like how delicate it feels, but I haven't really started using these yet. Okay, yeah, my favorite one is definitely these two. I use these a lot, and probably the majority of in this sketchbook. Okay, and then the other kinds of material are basically pencils, right? Different kinds of pencils. The one that I use the most are these, right? These are the Prismacolor col-erase series. It just means that they're erasable, so incredibly easy to use. These are some other color pencils that I use that are a little bit less frequently, but I also use them. I have a lot of them are just from sets that I have bought. There are a few that I use kind of as like shading, these like really thick pencils. I find them to be really chunky and really funny to use. I don't use them all that often. And a lot of people talk about these graphite pencils. I've tried with them, I've experimented with them, but again, like I said, because they transfer, I don't use them all that much in these sketchbooks. Okay, finally, let's do the sketchbook walkthrough. Okay, so I started off with using the color lead. So these were drawn with mechanical pencils. And I've noticed that using the mechanical pencil lead, the lead is very soft, so it's really easy to smudge. And the benefit of using the mechanical pencils is just that every line is quite delicate, and you can, you know, the feel of the sketch to me is just a little bit more delicate, and you can make a lot of fine details. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention is for these highlights, this is what I use, the jelly roll. Okay. And in this one, I experimented with a highlighter, and this was the highlighter that I used. So this Sears is just a local Canadian brand, and this was like really cheap. Got it on sale probably for $1. Yeah, this one's again done by the same mechanical pencil, but with blue color lead. Feels really delicate to me. I'm able to make these consistent fine lines in these sketches. So starting with this one, I experimented a little bit. I think you know, the underdrawing was done by a mechanical pencil, and I didn't really like how washed out it felt, because I think the feel I was trying to get to is a little bit rougher. In general, I feel like the curly hair is a little bit more wild and a little bit messier, and I really tried to create that effect with a mechanical pencil, but I wasn't able to, and I added some more details using another color pencil. And I don't know, I don't really like the way that this one turned out. Now this one I do like. So these two again are using the mechanical pencils, And then I created a background with a, pretty sure I used the Tombow brush pen, but they were really light colors. I think the pink one is this color. And I really like the subtle background it created because it really made the characters pop out. Same here. My favorite, one of my favorites is this one. I feel like I really captured her facial expression. Too bad there's like a little bit of bleeding, but even when I was drawing her, I felt like she just came alive, if that's a thing. As I'm drawing her, I just feel like it came together effortlessly. I didn't really overdo the sketch, and her facial expression just really jumps out at me when I look at her. This is one of my favorites in this sketchbook. Okay. Again, experimented with darker backgrounds. So I do really like this one, even though it's bleeding, and I feel like the background it isn't at like perfect, right? It wasn't perfectly resembles the way that I envisioned it. But what I wanted to achieve is basically I wanted her to stand out, right, more. And the other thing, a fact that I was trying to create is a little bit of I wanted to accentuate like her face to a certain extent. So I want everything else to fade away about her, and that your focal point is just like how kind of like a glass feel, like she's not even real kind of feel. And I feel like having this darker background and then kind of doing a light wash around her allowed that effect to pop out. I don't know, what do you think? So yeah, I wouldn't call this one of my favorites, but it was an interesting experimentation. Okay, and starting here, I started using color pencils, the col-erase Prismacolor series. This was using green color. Never mind, these two are back to mechanical pencil. I think, so this one I definitely overworked. I spent probably more than 20 minutes on this. Notice how the shading is just way too much. There's so much shading on her. And yeah, I would call this, I wouldn't call it a failure, but it doesn't fit within the goal that I would have per sketch, right? The goal is to practice, and the goal is to not spend more than 20 minutes per sketch. And this one was definitely more, like probably 30 minutes, 40 minutes even. All right, this one I do like. I wouldn't call it one of my favorites, but also I do like the way that I did the shading on her face over here. I feel like I did a really good job capturing the effect, like the curvature of her face. Because if you look at the face, right, around the cheek region, it's not flat. No one's face is flat, let's face it. But a lot of times when people do the portrait drawing around the cheek area, like, you know, take a look at this, right? This one is not done well. This just looks flat, even though there's shading on it. But her face, I feel like you can kind of feel the curvature, the peaks and valleys on her face in a really interesting way. Right? So these two in comparison, this one I feel is so much better than this one, even though I spent way less time working on this one compared to this one. Okay, more mechanical pencil drawings. Wow, I'm surprised I did so many with just red color. here I experimented with her hair by using the Tombow brush pen. And this is also a side portrait view. I really don't like this portrait. I mean, it's a mixture of the reference photo and also my own drawing, but I feel she's really dull looking. There's nothing that stands out in this sketch for me. Like when I look at her, I just feel like she's bored. Not one of my favorites. And this one, the proportion is wrong. Her, like this section is way too tall. Probably need to shrink it a little bit. Her face also doesn't look quite right to me. So when I look for a reference photo, I don't always pick the ones that are beautiful, if that makes sense. I pick ones that I find that are interesting to draw, or like there's something special in the reference photo that I wanted to capture. And I wouldn't say that achieving likeness is the top priority, although it is something that I try to do, but it's not like the top, like number one reason that I like the, you know, in the span of the 20 minutes, let's say, maybe around 50% of the time I'm focusing on achieving likeness, and the other 50% I'm trying to capture, I'm trying to come up with a word for it, but I'm trying to figure out how to make this sketch meaningful for myself, right? How would I remember the moments that I spend drawing this sketch? Like if I look at the same reference photo sometime later, would I remember that I've drawn this reference photo? So this reference photo, I've drawn so many times, and I still don't feel that I've quite captured what I wanted to, you know, whether you call it the it factor or the thing that I really like, it just draws me to that reference photo. But this, whatever it is, this character that I wanted to capture, I have not been able to capture. So this was, I think, the first attempt, and since then I've attempted a few other times, and in different mediums using different techniques. I think I failed each one of them. Okay, so here I experimented with these markers I bought. So the, what are they called? Zebra Mild Liner. I think they're also from a Japanese brand. I could be mistaken, but I got this as a Japanese stationery store. I think they also belong in that highlighter category. To be honest, I think the reason I did so many mechanical pencil drawings is just because it's so easy, right? You don't need to sharpen it. It's erasable and it doesn't smudge. The only problem I have with it is its predictability. You never know when the lead is going to run out. And if I'm in the middle, well, it's always in the middle of a drawing session, you run out of the lead and you have to stop and then go fetch the lead container and then refill it. And I hate that. Every time that happens, I'm like, oh, this drawing is totally ruined. I didn't notice, but it looks like half of this sketchbook is all drawn using the red lead mechanical pencil. It's so funny, when I look at this reference photo, right, I clearly remember her chin had these like really interesting shadows. But I think I focus on that way too much, because I don't think, even though I see it immediately, I don't think everyone sees it immediately. And one of the things I tend to do is, you know, I draw what I see. And I'm pretty sure they're not that prominent. But now in my sketch, you can clearly see these two lines. Just now I'm looking at it, I find it kind of funny. I quite like the treatment that I applied on this one. So what I try to experiment with is that I really wanted to just have a focus. Instead of just on a pair of eyes, I focus on one side of the face. And because reference photo, it's also like there's a strong light, so this half of the face appeared to be quite washed out. So I think I captured this one quite well with that objective, right? Just half really focused and half isn't that focused. But I could make it even stronger by, you know, smudging this side a little bit more. But the thing is, when the light really hits your face like that, it doesn't actually make the features go away either. So I feel like if I actually did that, it would look too unrealistic. So it would be too artistic. But, you know, I could also try that in one of the future sketches as well. All right, starting here, I think I started to use more pencils instead of mechanical pencils. This again is done with Prismacolor, same with this one. These were done, I think these are not done with Prismacolor. I think these are done with a different kind of pencil. So, you know, the not so erasable kind of color pencil. More prone to errors. I quite like this one, even though there's some smudging going on or color transfer from this one to this one, as you can see. I made her face a little bit dirtier, but when I first made this sketch, I remember I quite liked it. All right, we are back to mechanical pencil. This is using the blue lead. Blue lead with some highlighters. In a lot of my comments, I remember people really like this one. I actually don't like it all that much. Sorry, I don't think this was done by mechanical pencil. I think this was also done by Prismacolor col-erase. These are done with the mechanical pencil. And again, I tried the half dark or half focused and half washed out in these I hate this spread. This is like the worst spread in a sketchbook. I don't like neither one of these two sketches. Flip. All right, back to mechanical pencil with blue lead, sorry, with red lead, then blue lead. And Prismacolor. When my daughter looked at this one, she thought it was really scary. I don't really find it scary. I don't know about you, but that scary is definitely not facial expression I was trying to capture here. But maybe I'm just didn't really do a good job in this sketch. All right, I don't know what happened here, but there's a massive amount of color transfer between these two sketches. Oh yeah, this is when I did a tutorial. Yeah, same sketch, same reference photo. Experimented here a little bit with a different color applied on top. I don't sketch men nearly as much as I sketch women. Well, one, because they aren't the reference photos for men are far less compared to reference photos for women. So the choice is more for convenience. This is one of my favorites as well. I quite like how this one turned out. So again, it was half detail, half basically, you know, simplified. And I love how this grounds the sketch as well. So also one of my favorites. Top 3. So this one is a perfect example of where I don't think I captured a likeness, but I still really like it. I like the way I've drawn her eyes, and it's not super detailed or overworked, but her facial expression really pops. It's the eyes and the mouth, I think, that, I mean, you tell me, how do you like it? This is, I wouldn't call it one of my favorites, but I do like it, even though this sketch definitely does not resemble the original reference photo. I also did a tutorial on this one. You can check it out and follow along if you want to see how I've drawn her from beginning to finish. Proportion here is wrong. Should be a little bit smaller. Yeah, quite like this one. It's quite funny looking. I also really like this one. I think I capture her perfectly. And the feel of it is just perfectly resembles the way that I have envisioned it before I put pencil to paper in my head. Her face is wrong. I don't know. There's a lot of things that are wrong with her face. Probably one of my worst drawings in here. So when I was drawing these ones, I was experiencing some personal struggles. And I don't know if it has shown through in these sketches, but I feel like it might have, because now looking back, they feel they feel a little bit depressing. We are almost at the end, and there you go, the last 2 pages. I also did a step-by-step guide of how to draw this face, so if you're curious, you can go check it out. Last one, December 18th, 2023. And that's it. And of course, because of my love for these sketchbooks, I started a new one. And in this one, so I started December 19th, right after I finished the other one. And so far, I quite like it. I quite like this sketchbook. Don't like how it transferred here, but at least I captured the process of drawing this one. And yeah. If you like my sketchbook series, follow me along. I try to do one a day, and today I'm going to draw a new one.